Yeah, so it's a funny story. Like right when I walked in there, they're like, "Yo, Mitch!" Like, and it was like I was like a celebrity. I was just like, "Eh." I mean, it was flattering,
I
but
was like, look at this fucking.
What, were you underwhelmed by people when you saw them?
You
No,
then you
not at
act like
all.
a celebrity.
it was really cool seeing all these people. Like, I mean, we talk and interact with them all the time, but I don't know. It's
Who was shorter in real life than you imagined?
Jarek McKinnon.
Really?
I mean, you see him picture with him? I'm literally the same size as
Oh,
you
I
guys.
have to check that one out.
I guarantee when we meet you, I'm just slamming a pie in your face so you don't feel so you don't feel like a celebrity.
And with that, please, let's just get loaded. Hey, welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo, who just threatened to slam a pie in our face of our guest, Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. Mitchell, first, how are you doing? Second, what would your initial reaction be if DJ were to welcome you with a pie to the face the first time he ever sees you?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time DJ hit me with a cream pie, so
Yeah, boy.
that would be for sure there. But no, guys, I'm glad you guys finally got me back. You really got to tell me when you're recording. It kind of throws me through a loop, but it's also kind of fun. I love what you guys do here, and really glad to be back on. Ben doesn't have a shirt on. I do. I'm still at work.
I don't know
And,
why you're dressed like that.
He's holding it down. It looks good. I mean, overall, you look good. But you guys, I guess we'll actually get into where you can follow me at Mitchell Renz 365 on Twitter. I work for Chat Sports. I write for Fantasy Pros and Gridiron Experts as well.
Dude, why don't
Can you
go,
like dress comfortably?
What?
Can you dress comfortably at your job or?
Yeah, I can basically wear whatever I want. And we have a sponsor right now. Shout out to Ms. and a Man. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now, and they are literally comfortable as F. That is their website name, www.comfortable.af.
We're going to edit that out until they
We're
start.
not getting paid for that.
Yeah. Until they start sponsoring us, we will
I
be
do get
editing
paid
that
for
out.
that. So
Yeah,
you
but
can
we
leave that in.
don't. And, I don't know about that one.
Mitchell, before we get started, why don't you tell everybody about the new exciting news you've got going on?
Yeah, I do. I am launching my own fantasy football show at Chat Sports, and I'm really blessed to be able to do that. It's going to be called Fantasy Football AF, and AF is literally going to be able to stand for whatever the hell you guys want it to stand for, but I can say that my initial reason was fantasy football as fuck. So they turned down fantasy football and chill, which is a little bit depressing, but the way that I want the show to run is a lot like the way you guys do this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be some beer talk in there. We're going to have some, I don't know, really dirty jokes, and it's just me. And if you guys want to check it out, just go to Chat Sports YouTube, subscribe, and we'll do that.
This fucking guy. How long were you sitting on some of those lame ass jokes that you were dropping there?
When?
Do you plan ahead those jokes like Jimmy Garoppolo's girlfriend? You dropped a joke about her on there. You write those things down?
I mean, we plan certain things out, but I mean, there's other things that just randomly come out. I mean, I think I'm a pretty witty guy.
I like how you said that there was going to be dirty jokes, but then it was a podcast by yourself.
Yeah, I know. Well, the original thought was like we'd have somebody behind like the mic as well, but our boss has shut that down quick. So hopefully the next one will be a little bit better, and I'll be recording on Sundays and I'll be going live Sunday morning. So maybe you guys can join. You just got to wear more clothes than what you're wearing now.
Hey, we're
No
looking
chance.
forward to it. We're looking forward to it. You said it's going to be a little bit like our show, so we're all on board. And it's a copycat lead, Mitchell. A lot of people want to copy what me and DJ got going on here.
We're fucking pros in the game. If you need any advice on how to be this good, just we'll give you little tidbits throughout this podcast. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in once again. To our old listeners, welcome back to our new listeners. It's about time you started listening, but you picked a great episode to start with because we are going to play the fantasy football version of Two Truths and a Lie. So in the event you've never played or you've never heard of this, one of us is going to say 3 statements about the upcoming fantasy football season, with 2 of them being something that we believe in, and then the third one is a lie. So the other 2 people will then have to guess which they believe is the lie, and then we'll discuss that one or the other ones that we may disagree on. So, Mitchell, I'm kind of intrigued to see what you have. So do you want to throw out your first scenario?
Yeah, sure. So So I just state three of them, and you guys have to pick which two truths and which one's a lie. Correct?
Just which
Got it?
one's a lie.
Okay. So I got Cam Newton finishes as the top 5 quarterback. Amari Cooper will bounce back with over 1,000 yards. LaShawn McCoy is an RB1.
I know my answer. DJ, do you know your answer?
I'm gonna go with McCoy RB1.
Yep, I think McCoy being
It's
an
a lie.
RB1 is a straight up lie. Mitchell, are we telling you the truth by saying that?
Yeah, you guys are right. I think LaShawn McCoy is not going to be an RB1, and I'm guessing that you guys watched my show because I kind of ripped up McCoy a little bit in my last show. So yes, LaShawn McCoy is not going to be an RB1. I think Cooper bounces back with over 1,000 yards, and Cam's going to finish as a top 5 QB.
Why? What about McCoy?
What about McCoy?
Yeah.
So when I went back and I looked at McCoy with quarterbacks who are considered traditional quarterbacks, he averages 4.3 yards per carry, a touchdown every 0.42 times. When you go back and you look at McCoy's like really good years, it's with guys like Michael Vick, it's with guys like Tyrod Taylor, and Nathan Peterman, not mobile. Josh Allen is absolutely garbage, and then AJ McCarron is again not very good. So and you just look at overall that Bills team. Kelvin Benjamin's not any good. Zay Jones is weak. Like that Bills team could legitimately be the worst team in the NFL, probably the worst offense in the NFL. I don't want to rely on it. And then you're looking at the touches, 2,626 touches, just way too many for a guy who's already 30 years old. And there's so many things that are going like not in his favor. And I think he's a guy, worst case scenario, like you're going to have to invest in, but you might be able to buy low on him because his first 4 games of the year, man, like guys, like they're really tough. He's got the Vikings week 3, the Packers week 4, both road games, Chargers week 2. And I can't think of the team he plays in
Packers.
week 1, but that's another
Oh,
road game.
week 1. Who was
Week
that?
1. It's on the road. I'm just saying his first 4 games is going to be a definite loss. So
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it. Maybe you can buy low on him in week 5, but no thank you for LaShawn McCoy.
So I argued the exact opposite on LaShawn McCoy just a couple of weeks ago, but I recently just knocked him out of my rankings because I'm just convinced he's not going to play this entire fucking season, and I don't want to touch him until I know more on that. So I'm just convinced
He's going to get suspended.
Yeah, I think he's
I mean,
just
if
out.
there's-
Like I think
if
he's
there's-
done.
I mean, if there's anything that I've learned, I mean, from the NFL, from like working in it now for like a year, and then just being down here in
You
Dallas.
work in the NFL?
I work for a company that's surrounded by the NFL.
Oh.
So do we.
My whole world's surrounded by the NFL. Jesus Christ.
I mean, like, I'm serious though, guys. I mean, even if he's guilty or not, he's gonna get punished. Like,
Right.
the way that the NFL does it now, even if you're not guilty, you're gonna get some sort of slap on the wrist. And I think McCoy's gonna get 3 to 4 games. So, I think that's gonna happen. And again, where he's going right now in drafts, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna pass on him.
Yeah, I forgot what kind of content DJ and I were talking about a couple of weeks, but I picked someone over McCoy, and I was like adamant about it. And DJ was like, "Dude, you're crazy. McCoy's going to be the
Yeah.
touch master." But yeah, he's kind of
If he
fallen
wasn't
off
in
that
trouble
too.
now.
Once
I'm
once
pretty
those
sure DJ's
allegations.
the touch master. So
I'm the what master?
He's the touch
I'm pretty sure
master.
DJ's the touch master.
Oh yeah, I can touch.
All right,
You'll
DJ,
see.
let's go into
Just
your
wait.
or touch master. Let's go into your first scenario.
All right, here we go, guys. Mike Evans will outscore AJ Green. Derrick Henry finishes as a top 15 running back. Mitch Trubisky and Blake Bortles will outscore Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh wow. Okay, so I think I know which one you say is a lie, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think that you're saying that
This is
AJ
what I
Green
believe.
is
I don't
actually going to
fuck with
outscore Mike Evans. So I think the first one was your lie. Mitchell?
I think the second one was your lie. I don't think you think Derrick Henry's a top 15 running back.
Ben is actually correct.
Woo.
Yeah, I have AJ Green. He's just just a model of consistency. So just a guy who puts up solid numbers year after year, and even in the years that he is injured, he puts up great numbers. I mean, he had a down year last year, they think, with over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. I'm going to trust a guy like that rather than Mike Evans, who has Ryan Fitzpatrick, or who's the other fucking guy that they're talking about back up there in Tampa Bay that's going to be playing for, the first 4 games? So I actually do believe Derrick Henry finishes as a top 5 running back, and I'm on that Ben
5?
train. Or top 15, sorry.
Okay.
That I do not believe he finishes as a top 5 running back. But I just think that they go back with a balance. I don't think Deion Lewis is gonna cut into as much as what everybody thinks he's going to. I also think that they're not going to use him the same way the Patriots do. I'll say over and over again, people see these Patriots running backs and wide receivers go elsewhere, and you don't see the same type of production in a new type of offense because they can't do what Belichick does. So I believe in Derrick Henry. I think that balance is going to be back. I think Mariota is going to be better, and I think that's going to help him out. And they have a very solid offensive line down in Tennessee. So that's my defense on that one.
Yeah. Mitchell, I want to hear Mitchell's opinion on your quarterback one, but first we'll touch on the line. Who do you got scoring more fantasy points this year between Evans and A.J. Green?
Well, I think when you look at them both, I mean, Mike Evans has never had under 68 receptions in his career. He's never had under 1,000 yards. And when I look at Mike Evans's last year, I mean, he only had 5 touchdowns, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a deja vu kind of thing. So in 2015, Mike Evans had only 3 touchdowns on a good year. Very next year, 96 catches. He's the number 1 receiver. He's got 12 touchdowns. So I think he is going to bounce back a little bit. But that Buccaneers schedule, if you guys go look at it, it is really freaking tough. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know if the loss of Winston hurts all that much because Fitzpatrick, I just feel like, would pepper Evans with targets because that's what he's done in his entire career. Right. It's just really pepper one receiver. So I don't know if that really impacts Evans as much as I think what people think it is, but I'm still going to go with a guy like A.J. Green because of a lot of things DJ said, the consistency. So he's played in 7 years. 6 of those 7 years, he's had over 1,000 yards. The only year he didn't have over 1,000 yards, he had 964 and he played in 10 games. And he was just like absolutely tearing it up. So I think the Bengals are going to be a lot better this year. That offensive line is better. So I'm going to take A.J. Green over Evans, but it's like I think they're back-to-back in my rankings. And again, for me, it's just A.J. Green I think is, to be honest, a better receiver. And I'm going to say he's the best receiver that doesn't get any credit.
Right. Absolutely. No, I think I'm with you on that one as well. I've got A.J. Green as my 6th receiver. I moved Mike Evans down to my 9th. I think they were back-to-back as well. But I did move Evans down, just like you said, because of their schedule. Look at the whole Winston situation. Evans just is a little bit more shaky to me. But I need a third party to intervene here because all DJ's been talking about for like the last month and a half is Mitchell Trubisky. And I don't know if it's, I know he likes Mitchell's. I know he's a big fan of yours. But I don't know that it needs to translate onto the football field. These early reports I've been seeing from Bears camp is he looks kind of spotty. Every other throw kind of deal.
Oh
like he looks good, he looks crappy. He looks good, he looks crappy. So is there any chance Mitch Trubisky and Blake Bortles outscore Ben Roethlisberger? Because I think Roethlisberger outscores them both easily.
Do I think that there's a chance? Sure, there's always a chance. I mean, are we really confident that Big Ben's going to play all 16 games?
Nope, no. Doesn't matter though.
Doesn't matter?
Yes, it does. Big time.
He can play 14 and outscore those guys.
I mean, Blake Bortles last year, I believe at the final...
13.
It was like the playoff weeks or whatever. It was the number 1 scoring quarterback in fantasy football, which I think is kind of funny.
And he finished 13th overall.
He finished
as quarterbacks.
I mean, that's the thing. Like Blake has actually like been fantasy productive. I don't think he's any good real life production, but
fuck off.
But then also Ben Roethlisberger over like the final half of the year was also extrapolate those yards. He had over 5,000. He's got much better weapons. I mean, I will never take Trubisky or Bortles over Roethlisberger. However, I think based on value, I would take a guy like Trubisky based on value over a guy like Big Ben. I don't really have an argument with that, but taking Trubisky and Bortles straight up over Ben, I'm not going to get behind that. So,
okay, I will take them. I'm not going to take them over Big Ben, but I'm not going to take Big Ben. I will select them at where they're at going ADP wise. Over Big Ben. I also do think there's I really do think there's a huge chance that they do outscore Big Ben this year, and that's obviously half the reason that I like them so much. Big Ben sucks on the road consistently, so I'm not getting a high amount of points 8 games out of the year, it seems like. Plus, he's injury, like he's going to get injured. So if I'm giving half the games where he's not putting up numbers, plus I have that threat of injury, I'm going to take a guy with Mr. Trubisky who's in going to be in a real creative offense, I believe, this year with a bunch of weapons that are going to play to his strengths, and Blake Bortles, who's typically a good fantasy quarterback, finishing at 13 last year with undrafted free agents, and they ran the ball fucking like 90% of the time. Right. I'm 100% going to take those guys over Ben Roethlisberger, and I honestly do believe that they're going to outscore him this year.
A couple podcasts ago, I don't remember which one it was, when we were talking quarterback rankings for fantasy, me and DJ concocted like the ultimate way to draft Roethlisberger. Is what you do is you write down all of the weeks that he's on the road, and you find a quarterback that has stellar matchups for those weeks only, and then you just platoon the shit out of those 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. I think that'd be the ultimate way to do it.
I mean, he wasn't that bad on the road last year. He wasn't. I mean, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He only had 200 more yards at home than he did on the road. I mean, if you're going to talk about just numbers, that's only about averaging 25 more passing yards, 1 fantasy point more. I mean, 16 touchdowns at home, but 8 interceptions. So, like, I don't know. I don't really think it's that big of a split. I always kind of, like, used to go back to the Drew Brees, or everyone was like, oh, he sucks on the road. I just think he was just so effing good at home that he wasn't as good as what he was on the road. So, I think Big Ben is kind of overhyped right now, and I think a lot of that is just to do with a lot of the weapons he has around him, and they are very good, but I don't know. I can't get behind the whole Trubisky Bortles thing over Big Ben. I don't think they score more points than he does.
We'll see. Well, just can't wait for it. I'll tweet at you when it happens.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
We'll see how it plays
I'll
out.
let you know about it.
DJ will let you know with a pie to the face. All right, let's go into my first scenario. Statement 1, Melvin Gordon outscores Saquon Barkley. 2, Jerick McKinnon finishes as a top 10 running back in half PPR. And 3, Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman both finish as top 24 running backs.
That's a good one.
I'm going to say you don't think McKinnon's going to finish as a top 10 and a half point PPR because I took a class in college where people are extra descriptive in their lies, and you added half-point PPR and only that one.
Wow. Just to oppose it, I'm going to say you don't believe that Melvin Gordon outscores Saquon Barkley because I'll kill you.
Oh, you should have went with Mitchell. Whoever taught that class deserves a teacher award.
That's awesome.
Yes, I am a firm believer that Jerick McKinnon is going to finish outside the top 10. When he got dealt to the Niners, I loved it. I was just... When he signed there, I should say, loved the move. I'm like, dude, I'm targeting this guy in fantasy. He's going to be able to do it all. He's not a bad running back. He definitely excels catching the ball out of the backfield. Up and coming offense with Jimmy Garoppolo. Perfect situation. His ADP has climbed to a level that I can literally not touch because of the fact that if he's so good, why is a team never relied on him to carry the load before? And if he does carry the load, is he going to be able to hold up? We can't, with a for sure answer, say yes to either of those. And with his current ADP, I want to for sure say yes to those questions. So, yeah, I've got McKinnon finishing outside of the top 10.
Isn't half-point PPR reductive? Reductive. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
I know what you meant, and yes, I think it is.
Isn't it redundant?
Redundant.
You fucking idiot, me. Yeah, that's the first thing that popped in my head, then I couldn't say the fucking word. But, I mean, you were saying point per reception. Anyways,
anyway,
I just wanted to get that out there. You go ahead and comment, Mitch. I'm done talking for the rest of this podcast.
DJ's punting on this one.
Well, I actually got to meet Jerick McKinnon at the
oh,
convention.
humble brag.
Humble brag, yeah. Took a picture of him with them too, so you can check that out on my Instagram at MitchellRens365. So, one thing that I love about McKinnon, and I encourage everybody to, maybe go on Google, type in Jerick McKinnon, and maybe fantasy football as well, because I
knew this was coming up.
I think my article's going to show up. So I think when you look at McKinnon, there's no doubt that you can look at the upside, you can look at the hype, right? So I think Shanahan knows what kind of running back works in his system, and I think that's why he went out and got a guy like McKinnon. McKinnon's 5'9", 205 pounds, and I think when you just talk about spark athletes, spark freaks, it's McKinnon. We hyped up Saquon Barkley's combine a lot, and McKinnon's combine's much, much better than Barkley's. Like 32 reps on the bench, better 40 time. I mean, absolute athletic freak, right? And I understand there's the concerns, can he handle the workload? Devonta Freeman, the year before he went with Shanahan, averaged 3.8 yards per carry, the exact same amount that McKinnon averaged last year. He didn't have a large workload. He didn't, have anything to provide that he was going to be successful. Yet Shanahan made him successful. The other running back who was also really good was Steve Slayton in 2008. Steve Slayton and both Freeman had over 1,600 total yards and over 11 touchdowns in their very, very first year with Shanahan. Both running backs are 5'9", 205 pounds. Both can catch the ball, both can run between the tackles, and I don't know if McKinnon necessarily can run between the tackles as well as I think Freeman and Slayton did, but I think this 49ers team is going in the right direction. I do trust Shanahan, and I just trust the things that they're doing around him, and they went out and got him. His contract is super, super front loaded. They're gonna run him into the ground.
Right.
And at the end of the day, fantasy football is about opportunity and it's about taking chances. And if that dude gets a bunch of work, hey, I'm at least gonna invest in it because any running back can get hurt. We see it every year.
Even at that escalated ADP, you're still comfortable taking him?
I mean, what's his ADP right now? Do you have it in front of you?
I
I would take
thing up right
McKinnon
now,
over
but...
McCoy. I would take McKinnon over McCoy right now, which I don't think
I would
might
do
be
that
a very
too.
popular decision. I mean, for me, it starts getting around. Like, I would take Leonard Fournette over McKinnon. I would take
100%.
Tim Howard over McKinnon. I would take Devonta Freeman over McKinnon. But then, like, I mean, McKinnon over Mixon, I would take McKinnon. Like that's where it starts to get a little bit iffy for me. Like, right now, I believe McKinnon's my RB12.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Right now, I feel like me and Ben are in trouble because, like, when you start to make a point, you just get louder and more firm. And when you start dropping those stats on us, like, I kind of feel like you're punishing us. Like, you were like yelling at us. I felt I was a little scared.
Yeah,
I
you
was
come
a
off
little
all
timid.
nice looking and everything,
Yeah.
and then you just start yelling at us. Can you tone it down a
Here's
touch?
Sorry.
Can I give you advice number one for your show if you want to be more like us? Give a fuck less and just drop things like, I think that Chris Hogan's going to struggle this year because he's white. Like, say things like that instead of dropping numbers.
P-
Throw that in there every now and then.
P.S.
I'll see what I can do.
To answer Mitchell's question,
Sit
to
back
keep him
every
on
now and
board
then.
here, McKinnon's current draft position is the 10th pick in the second round.
2.10.
That's
That's way too
steep.
fucking high.
I mean, that is pretty steep, and I mean, judging by a lot of the teams that I go around, I mean, if I can get a running back early, I don't know if I would want McKinnon in the second round. I would probably try to bite the bullet and see if he falls to me
Right.
at my next pick in third.
Yeah, see, that's what scares me about him. Like, I love all the reasons, like you said, and that contract reason is huge. I've heard that a couple of times from some people that contracts front loaded. You got him, use him. It doesn't much matter. You don't need to save him. It's a running back in the NFL. I mean, that's just what you do to him.
I will
So.
say what definitely scares me in the argument that I give people who are, I'll say, like, against McKinnon, like, or for McKinnon. I mean, last year Carlos Hyde had 55, or what did he have? He had like 65 receptions or something like that. Only 10 of which came with Garoppolo, and that's in 5 games. So
Yep.
I mean, he's averaging only 2 receptions a game, and he was getting a bunch of work. And then Garoppolo just started finding receivers, and that was without Garcon. He gets Garcon. I'm not a big fan of Pettis, but Pettis is another option that they're going to be able to rely on. And then I love Marquise Goodwin. So, and then they have a pretty solid tight end there in Kittle.
Well,
Hey, like I can make both sides of the argument. I'm just saying I think making the 4 Jerick McKinnon is a much more entertaining argument.
There you
And-
go.
see, I'm not on the Jerick McKinnon train, but on the side that you're saying Carlos Hyde didn't have a bunch of interceptions with Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, it was the end of the year in which the Niners weren't competitive. So I don't think you
They
can
were.
really look at
They
that.
didn't lose a game.
No, I mean where the games didn't matter. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Where they weren't playoff bound, so they just letting it rip and seeing what they had. So he wasn't focused on game plan check off to running backs. They're not going to the playoffs. The season was done. So at that point, I don't know if you can necessarily look at the game plan and think that running backs were necessarily a point of emphasis. You just let it rip, man. You just fucking let it go.
I think I'm a believer that every NFL team at every single week plays their hardest. I don't know. I really do believe that.
I mean, you got a new quarterback. You're seeing what you have, and he's going to show off a little bit. He's got to show off that arm. He's letting it rip downfield. I'm not going to throw it to a fucking running back.
Let me end this segment by saying that the Dolphins didn't start, but they turned to David Fales on the second possession of Week 17 last year, and I had to watch it. I don't care about what you guys said. I just wanted to make the point that I'm pissed off about Week 17 from last year because my team didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I worked all day to watch that game. They let me go. I digress. Mitchell, let's go into your second scenario.
Oh, let me pull up my link. All right. Second scenario is Marshawn Lynch finishes with 1,000 rushing yards. Tyreek Hill is a top 10 wide receiver. My favorite quarterback to target in drafts right now is Matt Ryan.
Wow.
Sorry, you're going to have to say those all over again. I didn't listen to a single one of those.
Marshawn Lynch finishes with over 1,000 yards. Tyreek Hill, top 10 wide receiver, and favorite quarterback is Matt Ryan.
So I'm stuck between 2 of them here, and I'm going to say that you do some Raider stuff, so I don't think you're going to lie to me about Marshawn. And I once had a geometry teacher that said, no, I'm just kidding. I don't remember anything my teacher said. I'm going to go with your Tyreek Hill one.
Did you say Matt Ryan is your favorite quarterback
To target right now in drafts.
to target right now in drafts? Shit. I'm going to go with that one.
Cool. So I think Marshawn Lynch finishes with just a hair over 1,000 rushing yards. He finished over the last 5 weeks of the season. He had 434 rushing yards over those final 4 weeks, and I think he finally got his groove a little bit. And I know Gruden really wants to pound the rock this year with him, and they really want to get back to just kind of like tough football. So I think Marshawn's going to get around that 1,000 rushing yards, just over it, not too much. I'm going to peg him around like 8 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. And then for my lie, I don't think Tyreek Hill's the top 10 wide receiver with Mahomes. I think the Mahomes hype, I think Mahomes is good, but I don't know if he's going to be as good as Alex Smith was last year. Alex Smith led the NFL with quarterback rating with 104.7. And you just look at the numbers, and when I just study touchdowns, right? Like Mahomes, or what's his name? Hill didn't have a single touchdown last year. I think he maybe had one with inside the 20.
Yeah,
That's really, really hard to do. And I understand the dude is super, super fast, and I just think he's getting overdrafted because people think speed, and then they think this guy, Mahomes, has a giant arm. And it just doesn't quite work that easily. Like,
Not
just
the NFL.
because you have a big arm doesn't mean you're going to be able to, like, connect. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, big arm, wasn't all that great. Like, and I'm not trying to compare Mahomes to Jamarcus because I really like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. When you go back and watch tape, he is really talented. It's just people are literally just saying, Tyreek Hill, fast. Mahomes, big arm, going to be amazing. And I don't really think it's that simple. So I don't think Hill's going to be a top 10 receiver. But my favorite quarterback right now to draft is Matt Ryan. I think the Falcons' offense is actually going to be much better. So Matt Ryan really struggled last year. Obviously, the first year with Sarkisian. I don't think it's going to be that bad again. And we saw how well Matt Ryan did in second year with Shanahan. And I also think Matt Ryan's going to start sliding down the board right now because of this whole Julio Jones holding out thing. Julio's going to play. Like,
right.
They're going to pay him. Something's going to happen. They're not going to let Julio Jones sit out. And I think Julio, as like a guy, wouldn't do that to his team. So I think Matt Ryan's going to start sliding down boards right now. So if you're in a draft and Ryan's like sliding, pick him up because I think that Falcons offense is going to be much better than what it was last year.
Yeah, we literally just talked quarterbacks. The last 2 episodes, we did our top 24 quarterbacks. And DJ and I were split on this one because I echoed what you said, Mitchell, about Matt Ryan, where DJ was like, nope, this guy's failed too many times. He's just come up average. He's just not there fantasy-wise. But no, I want to go back to the Tyreek Hill one right away because that was your lie. Because we did an episode where we did a sleeper and a bust from every single division. And I looked at the ADP right now. Tyreek Hill is going in the middle of the 3rd round as the 11th wide receiver. There is zero chance I'm trusting any less than 15 guys before Tyreek Hill because of the exact same reasons you've said. I've said it a million times. I love the move to go to Mahomes this year for the future. I don't think it's going to be awesome right now. There's going to be growing pains. So, yeah, long-term, Mahomes was the right choice over Alex Smith. I believe in that. But this year, if you're thinking that Pat Mahomes is going to like put up these great fantasy numbers and Tyreek Hill is going to be a top 10 receiver, please be in my league because I want to take total advantage of that.
Yeah, I've never been on the Tyreek Hill train, so I've never been a big Tyreek Hill fan. As you mentioned, like one touchdown inside of 20 yards. That was the one thing I go back to all the time is he's so inconsistent from week to week. Even with him finishing inside the top 5 wide receivers last year, if you're in a redraft league or have to play him week to week, he's just not a guy you could rely on, especially when the playoffs came, because he's scoring you 5 points maybe 2 weeks in a row in games that actually matter for you to advance, and then maybe you lose, and then he scores 25 points next week, and you're like, why the fuck didn't you do that 2 weeks ago? That's where he was last week. It was week to week. It was 5, 25, 5. I mean, he fucking scored a touchdown. Was that against Dallas, where they just did a desperation pass
the pre-halftime
at the end of
play?
half?
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. Like, that's just not going to continue to happen, and it's just not, like, I know I was wrong last year, but I still felt validated because he isn't one of those guys who's
Even
just
though you were wrong, you still kind of felt right.
Yeah, because my point was that he's not going to be a consistent, like, go-to number 1 target wide receiver all over the field. The one thing he can do is run deep, and he had the dropsies last year. He's not a guy that I can trust and rely on, and I don't like Patrick Mahomes at all. I'm way lower on Patrick Mahomes than you. To your point about the Patrick Mahomes big arm and Tyreek Hill being fast, people had that same type of feeling with Mike Wallace and Joe Flacco, and that didn't work out.
Right.
So it's just similar to that. I think I see a lot of that in this situation. I'm not high on them at all, and I will definitely pass on both both Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill.
Remember 2 years ago, too, when Hill, I think he might have had like 12 total touchdowns, but half of them were either rushing or special teams.
Special teams,
it's like no sustainability in that whatsoever. Yeah, he proved us wrong technically last year, but yeah, I'm going to go all in on avoiding him again this year.
Yeah, we agreed on that one.
Yeah, that was unity.
Nice. I love
Ben,
you.
I fucking hate you.
DJ, why don't you go to your second scenario?
All right. So Jordy Nelson has less than 5 touchdowns and 700 yards receiving. Amari Cooper returns to fantasy stardom and finishes as a top 15 wide receiver. And Marlon Mack finishes as RB2 in all formats.
Wow. I don't know where I feel on this one because I feel like all these are truths for you. I think you've spoke highly of Marlon Mack in the past, so I don't know what to do here. So I guess I'm going to call out Amari Cooper as a top 15 receiver. Mitchell, what do you think?
I'm just going to go with the Marlon Mack as the top 24 running back because I don't think that's true at all.
I just realized I had 2 Raiders on there. I just don't think of Jordy Nelson as a Raider. But
I thought you were going to say that you had 3 truths on that one. Forgot my lie.
My lie is Amari Cooper returns to fantasy stardom and finishes a top 10 or 15 wide receiver. For me, it just comes down to the uncertainty of John Gruden and what he's going to do in his old school type of format. I like Amari Cooper as a wide receiver. I think he's going to be really talented. John Gruden makes me nervous. I have no idea what to expect out of him. I think they're going to run the ball, as you mentioned, with Marshawn Lynch a lot. I think they're going to mix in running the ball a ton with Doug Martin a lot. He's going to run more smash mouth football. I don't know what he's going to do, personally. So I just don't trust not the unknown. So wide receivers and any passing weapons in that offense right now makes me extremely nervous, and I don't see him finishing in the top 15 right now. I'm listening to John Gruden talk. I don't want him. I wouldn't want him as my head coach. I'm going to be honest. So it makes me nervous. He wants old people.
I'm going to let Mitchell dive into this one first because the name Amari Cooper may or may not be in my next scenario.
Well, I'll talk about Amari. So I do run the Raiders show here at Chat Sports, which I'm definitely – I don't know. I just talked about Amari on my show today, and literally one of the segments I did was Amari's going to bounce back. So I think Amari is a super talented guy. I mean, last year, only 48 catches, 680 yards, but he did have a career high in 7 touchdowns, right? I just think when you look at Amari Cooper just from a talent standpoint, I think he's pretty talented. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He's only 24 years old. I mean, you want to talk about age. I mean, Calvin Ridley, who's literally the same. He's actually older than Amari Cooper. So I think, Amari's got a lot of growth around him. The entire offseason buzz with Gruden has been Amari Cooper is going to be the focal point of the offense. He has said in 2 different conferences he's going to be the focal point and he's going to be the main vein in that offense. So I think they do really want to get him the ball.
He called him the main vein?
So he's his penis.
In quotes, the main vein of
so
the
he is the Raiders' penis.
I would think more maybe like the black hole, but
you drain the main vein. Did you take a piss out of your ding dong? Drain the main vein. So
no, I totally get it. I could not get it anymore.
Okay, get it again.
Yeah, yep. Okay, we're gonna continue this. So Amari Cooper though, his first 2 years, guys, 70 catches, 1,000 yards. Only 3 wide receivers in NFL history have ever done that. So I think that puts him in an elite group as well. And you just want to talk about receiving yards again. 2,943 his first 3 years. Before the age of 24, that's top 7. Man, that's better than Odell Beckham. That's better than a guy like Brandon Cooks. Like, Amari is an unbelievably talented guy, and if they can get him around 120 targets, he just didn't have a lot of targets last year. And I think the Raiders as a whole were just Derek Carr was banged up, the offensive line was not really good, and Derek Carr was an MVP candidate in 2016. And if we can get Derek Carr not back to maybe MVP levels, but an offensive line that can protect him, and I think John Gruden is going to filter a lot of targets towards Cooper. Again, I think Cooper's going to get around that 120 target mark, and I think he could be around the wide receiver 15, 14, and I'm okay taking him. And I did a poll today on Twitter, like, who would you keep, trade, cut? Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs. And I was amazed on how many people just don't want Cooper anymore after one bad year. So I'll take Cooper.
I'd be willing to keep Cooper. I'm just worried, like right now, how it's gonna. It's just the fear of the unknown. I think more than anything. I love Derek Carr. I was on record 2 years ago. He was one of my man crushes. I love him. I'm just scared that I'm worried about how Gruden's going to use him and what's going to happen with this offense. And I just would like to see it first because I don't have much confidence in it at all to be a believer in.
I think Jordy's going to help a lot. Like, all reports out of camp right now are Jordy Nelson is just amazing people. Not so much, we'll say, not so much on the field, but what he's doing with all the young
right there. That's all we need.
Cut the tape.
Jordy Nelson's been great in camp. Not so much on the field, but man, that guy can eat in the lunchroom.
He's a great locker room guy. But like when I hear coaches talk about Jordy, even Amari said it's like, oh, he's helping me a lot with routes. Like, and I think Amari has all the talent. That's the point I was trying to make. If Jordy can help him maybe retain some of that confidence and become a better route runner, because Amari's a good route runner.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, if Jordy can be the guy who can just teach Amari, I think that's really what's going to help Amari out.
Fair enough. I'm with Mitchell on this one because I'm obviously with Amari Cooper. I'm going to give away part of my next one. You'll know I'm not lying about that one. But I might be the biggest Amari Cooper fan of anyone that I know that doesn't like the Raiders. I went all in on him last year. It kind of killed me except for that 1 week where he played the Chiefs and he went for like 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But other than that, I'm going to go right into my next scenario because Cooper's going to be talked about on that one as well. So statement number 1, Julio Jones finishes as a top 5 fantasy receiver. Number 2, Coop finishes with more fantasy points than Tyreek Hill. I think we all know the answer to that one. And 3, Josh Gordon leads all Browns players in fantasy points.
I feel like I know this one, so I'm going to let Mitch go here real quick while he's taking a selfie.
I was trying to take selfies.
Did you do it?
No, you answer.
You want me to answer? I'm going to give... okay, it's going to be... I think that it's going to be number 3. I think it's going to be Josh Gordon leads all Browns players in fantasy football points is your lie.
Mitchell, do you want to call out one of my lies or do you just want to agree with DJ?
Yep, I'll go with DJ on that one.
Ooh, you guys are...
How did I look? Fuck, I should have taken my shirt off and flashed my titties.
No.
This is good
Nobody wants to
podcast
see
of
that.
Mitchell taking selfies. Just follow us on Twitter. Follow Mitchell at MitchellRens365. Follow him on Instagram. He'll have to hit that account up for you. Follow us on Twitter at LoadedBox. But anyway, yes, number 3 was my lie. Josh Gordon is not going to lead the Browns in fantasy points this year. One, and I'm not even going to start with the obvious one. So I'm going to say there's a guy called Jarvis Landry who's going to come in there, and people are lowering him right now. His ADP has dropped so much since he's left Miami. And Tyrod Taylor is all about the security blanket, and that's exactly what Jarvis Landry was in Miami his entire career. So, yeah, even if his stats drop a little bit, and we are going to see a regression in touchdowns, so he's not going to score what he was, it's still the Browns. We still don't know 100% what Josh Gordon is. We see all these YouTube videos and Twitter videos of him looking like a combination of Mitch and myself, just crazy, like without our shirts off. Just shredded. But what's he done on the field? And now this news comes out where he made this big note and said, hey, everybody, I'm going to take some personal time. Well, hey, Josh Gordon, what the hell was the last 4 months? That wasn't enough personal time? What do you got going on? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I can't. Josh Gordon's going as like a top 10 or 12 receiver right now. No thanks.
I'm all in on Josh Gordon. I will risk it all on Josh Gordon.
How many touchdowns has he scored in his last 10 games?
I don't know, but I just think that...
How many touchdowns has he scored in his last 10 games?
I just think the way Tyrod Taylor... Dude, Josh Gordon, when he plays, was... I mean, I know he dominated the Green Bay Packers.
In his last 10 games in the NFL, over under 2 touchdowns for Josh Gordon.
15.
It's under. He scored 1 touchdown in his last 10 games. Like, we talk about Josh Gordon like he is Josh Gordon of, 2013. What the hell were you doing in 2013? I was still in high school.
Oh, well, that's an issue, number 1. Let's skip
Actually, no, I wasn't. I was in college, but that's besides the point.
I was in the workforce.
I just don't get the hype around Gordon. Like, there's not going to be enough targets. Like, Tyrod Taylor has never supported the receiver with more than 61 receptions. He's never. I mean, Sammy Watkins is the highest guy with 1,000 receiving
exactly.
yards.
My point. Go
What
for
is
it.
I mean, Tyrod's never had over 3,200 receiving yards. Jarvis Landry's got 400 receptions his first 4 years, most ever in NFL history. Duke Johnson's a guy who's probably going to have 60 catches. I mean, if there's anything you should have learned about Tyrod, he likes tight ends. David Njoku's pretty good.
I agree with
Corey
that.
Coleman is still a first round. Like, how many targets do you think a guy like Josh Gordon's going to get? Like, I don't deny Gordon's talent, but I just don't see how he's going to get even close to a target share. And then, like, there's no way I think he can live up to the hype that he's got right now.
See, I just think that Tyrod had his most success with Sammy Watkins when he was healthy, and Josh Gordon is the most similar to that. Tyrod Taylor throws a beautiful deep ball, probably the best facet of his game, and I think Josh Gordon's going to be on the recipient end of those deep balls because I do think he's a freak of nature. And I also think he's going to favor David Njoku because he loves tight ends. I think that's actually going to leave Jarvis Landry kind of lower in the picture because I just think he's a little more inaccurate from those short to medium ranges. Just doesn't read the middle of the field as well. So I just see him going more to Njoku and Josh Gordon and then relying on those running backs and running the ball more than more than using Jarvis Landry at all this year.
I just I
Target
understand
monster
like
in Miami, not a target. I just don't think he'll be.
what I'm saying is like I feel like the offseason at times like makes us forget like what we saw last year. Like the Browns didn't win a game, and the Browns right now have the most players in the top 100 according to consensus ranking.
That's pretty wild.
Think about that. Like it's just because of all the offseason things that have been going on, and I like Tyrod. And if you could tell me right now Tyrod's going to play 16 games, he's a top 12 quarterback because he's a top 12 quarterback every year.
Yeah.
Are we really confident that Baker Mayfield's not going to get on the field? Because with the amount of hype that is around the Browns right now, if they don't win, Baker's going in. Like, and he just signed a contract literally like 10 minutes ago, 4 years, $32 million. So like they paid him, he's got his contract done. I don't know if Tyrod's going to play the entire year. And then I think if Baker plays, yeah, he's going to lean on a guy like Jarvis because Jarvis is a much better route runner, I think, over the middle than a guy like Gordon.
Okay, I just don't think you're going to see Baker Mayfield at all unless it's like the last few games because they're going to be so hesitant to throw a quarterback into the fire with what they have gone through in the past that they're just not going to do it. So they're going to strictly rely on Tyrod Taylor this entire year and let Baker Mayfield sit and process the NFL. I mean, they don't want to do Johnny Manziel again. They don't want to go through that quarterback carousel. They want to be careful. They want to rely on Tyrod, a guy who's been there. Let him go out there and see if he can start bringing some positivity and let Baker Mayfield learn behind him. I just don't think you're going to see him on the field at all for that reason.
Steelers Browns week 1. Who wins?
Steelers Browns.
Yeah.
Steelers.
I'm going to go tie.
Okay.
Wait, where is it?
Game's in Cleveland.
Oh, Browns.
I'm going to go
All
tie.
right, Steelers
They
gonna
got
win
a
that
top
game.
15 defense, bitch. They have a
Oh
top
my
15
gosh.
defense last
I'm
year.
saying, Browns at the Saints.
No, they'll lose that game.
Tie.
Okay, so in my opinion, they're 0-2. They're 0-2 for Ben.
Yes.
So, all right, Jets, Browns. I think they beat the
Browns.
Jets.
Yeah,
I don't think the Browns can go to Oakland and beat the Raiders.
I do.
I'm going to tie them.
They definitely could. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I think
they win 8 games personally.
they're gonna win 8 games.
Yeah.
I got him at 8 this year. We did some preseason rankings. I got him at 8, and I felt like I needed to stretch a couple out there just because I felt like they should be better this year.
They've got the Ravens and the Bengals twice in their own division.
I mean, the Ravens were
have a good
literally
defense,
the
but they're
Ravens
not-
were a play away from making the playoffs. Really.
And offense, yeah, that's because the AFC's garbage, but offensively they're not good. Their defense is solid, but I think Cleveland is better than them overall.
They've won one
offensively-
game in the last 2 years.
I
and
don't-
I understand they've
I
made a lot
just-
of upgrades, and
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson's not a good coach.
That's true.
That ends all arguments. Hugh Jackson's not a good coach. All right, you got me.
You got me on that one. I do like the talent there. They were a top 15 defense last year, and they have upgraded offensively in general. I mean, they've
Well,
got a better quarterback.
They definitely
Their offensive
can't go
line is
much
great.
below.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is great. They've got a good quarterback. They've added some running backs and wide receiver weapons. There's a lot that to like with Cleveland offensively, and their defense was already a solid-ass defense.
I think we could talk about a 0-16 team forever just because of how many pieces they added. They're one of the more intriguing teams. I mean, them and the Rams kind of won the offseason, right? Wouldn't you say? So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's fine, though. Everyone's got an opinion. That's why we play fantasy football.
Dream team.
I'm going to end up punting on my final. I'm just letting you guys know I'm punting on my final scenario because I think we might
Okay.
have a little bit more time on a different one. But, Mitchell, go ahead and do your final scenario here.
Final scenario, awesome. Okay, so Rashad Penny is the best rookie running back behind Saquon Barkley. Jordan Matthews is my favorite deep sleeper wide receiver. Le'Veon Bell is the #1 overall pick in fantasy football drafts.
Wow, this is hard. DJ, do you have a feeling what his lie is?
I just want it to be Rashad Penny, so that's what I'm going to say.
I'm going to say the same thing. That's going to be my lie as well.
Now, is that fantasy football points-wise or just skill-wise?
Fantasy football points.
Rashad Penny, yeah.
Cool. So my 2 truths are Le'Veon Bell, I think, is the #1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jordan Matthews is my favorite deep sleeper right now to target and draft. So Rashad Penny, I wouldn't touch Rashad Penny with a 10-foot pole.
Yes.
And I think it's cool because I wrote NFL blind comparison articles, and the one I did on Penny, like he came out to Lorenzo Taliaferro, whatever the hell the guy's name is from the Ravens a few years ago, when I watch Penny run, he's a super upright runner, and I could not understand why a team like the Seahawks with an awful offensive line
Terrible.
got Rashad Penny, who is, I'm going to say, the worst pass blocking running back in the
Ever.
NFL, and as a rookie. And right now, reports out of camp, we do a Seahawks show here at Chat Sports, and right now, reports out of camp are Chris Carson's leading. It's Chris Carson's job to lose right now. And
Yeah.
people might think I'm crazy, but Chris Carson right now is beating out Rashad Penny. And Chris Carson last year, before he got hurt, was averaging 54 rushing yards a game. And yeah, that might not seem like a lot, but that was top 10 at the time in the NFL. So I don't really think Rashad Penny's all that great. Yeah, you can look good at San Diego State, but so did his teammate, what's his name, Humphrey of the Eagles. And then, yeah, he's probably going to get cut this year. So I think Penny just looked really good on tape, and I understand he led the NCAA last year in rushing yards. But when you go back and you watch him, he's a super upright runner. He's just not shifty. Like, he's really not to me, and he's not a good pass blocker. So, and then on a team who is probably going to be one of the worst defenses in the NFL, I think, with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
They're going to pass the ball a ton, and I just don't see Penny being on the field when they pass, and they're going to pass a lot. And Russell Wilson's pass attempts have gone up every single year his first 5 years in the NFL. So I'm not touching Penny. No way about it.
So
In the last month, I said those exact same
Right.
words about Rashad Penny, by the way.
Well, I listened to the podcast. I
Oh,
literally,
thanks.
that's where you got that info from.
Duh. Thanks.
I've said this.
Hey, your advice number 2, steal just some of our content for your show.
Yes.
oh, yeah. No, I'll totally do that.
Perfect. Go ahead, Ben.
No, so I was just looking at Penny's ADP, and right now he's the 20th running back off the board, going as the first pick in the 4th round. And I've done this before. I said, so let's just say that this was a 2 or a 3 year average running back in the league, and he ended up being in this spot in Seattle where maybe he's going to be the guy. He's not going to get drafted that high because right now Rashad Penny has that I'm the rookie, I was the first round pick, I'm the shiny new thing, and it catches fantasy owners' eyes as being the 20th running back. Any other person in Seattle, you're going to look at that offensive line and say, no thanks. You're going to look at Mitchell's stat of Russell Wilson's pass attempts going up every year and say, no thanks. There's zero chance he can warrant, well, I mean, there's a chance he can warrant this ADP. But, yeah, I think it's a clean sweep for us on this one because that's
Yeah,
way too high. He has the new shiny effect going on people.
What was the other one besides Le'Veon Bell that you said?
Jordan Matthews is my favorite deep sleeper wide receiver right now.
Okay, explain.
Explain that. So right now, Jordan Matthews is wide receiver 70. So he's basically going undrafted. He's gonna be drafted. I believe it's in like 40% of drafts right now. Jordan Matthews, you can nag on him all you want. I understand he was bad last year in Buffalo, but his first 3 years in the NFL, guys, he wasn't all that bad. He had over 800 receiving yards his first 3 years. His first 2 years, he had 8 touchdowns in both of those years. You want to talk about Spark score, 91 percentile on core to Spark, right? So like I like that a lot. And then Julian Edelman, he's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the year. So I think that's going to help out Jordan Matthews, Matthews is like 6'3", 218 pounds, and actually works across the middle fairly well.
Yeah.
He's not guaranteed to make the roster. He's not. Well, he's not. Well, I'm not going to trust Malcolm Mitchell, who missed all of last year.
Well, and there got rumors
And
around
he-
him trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's rumors right now that
he
we
was-
talked about on our NFL show, but like I don't know if Malcolm Mitchell's going to be on the field, and then Chris Hogan can't stay healthy. He only played 9 games last year. Gronk,
And he's white.
and he's white. So is Gronk. So Gronk's
Yeah.
white
No,
as
Gronk
well,
is
so-
no color. Gronk is an animal.
But are we confident Gronk's going to
No.
play all 16 games? Like, I don't know that. And so I think when you just look at Jordan Matthews, who's a guy who had 1 bad year in Buffalo,
Who
Buffalo's
doesn't?
a train wreck.
Right.
Like, I think he could go to the Patriots. He's going to be a receiver over the middle. He's talented. If he can just catch the ball, like, I don't know. I think for a guy who you can literally get going undrafted as a wide receiver 70 in a Patriots offense that's probably going to be top 5 in passing, he's a guy that I target in all my leagues.
I'm a little angry you mentioned him because I was kind of like secretly keeping my eye on him, but I didn't want to ever say it out loud. For one, I was just embarrassed to be thinking that thought, but now you make me feel a little bit better about it. So
Yeah.
I'll keep secretly keeping an eye on him, even though now all 1 million listeners will hear that.
Yeah. I kind of like that. That's good insight there, Mitchell. Like you said, I never really had a feeling on him just because I thought he'd be the lost man in that offense. But yeah, Edelman's out. Hogan doesn't stay healthy. Gronk doesn't stay healthy. Mitchell seems to kind of be on the outs. And Matthews was good in Philadelphia. He kind of got
He was.
lost in that draft class because it produced so many top-end wide receivers. So he kind of got shuffled around. Everyone sucks in Buffalo. He comes to New England, and that's where people go to shine.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you have to lose? Like, if you could get Jordan Matthews right now, let's just say, you take him in round 14 because you're going to take your kicker and your defense in your last 2 picks. If I tell you right now that Jordan Matthews, let's just say he's the number 3 receiver on the Patriots, and maybe he could be the number 2 receiver on the Patriots. Let's say he gets 100 targets.
Right.
Let's say he gets 80 targets. Even if he gets 80 targets,
Right.
he's probably going to catch like 50 or 55 of them because he's running short and intermediate routes with Brady. So you're telling me right now I can get a guy in round 14 who could have the potential to see 100 targets on the Patriots?
And he has to be more talented than Danny Amendola.
Don't.
I would.
DJ has to find a way to get a shot in on the Dolphins every single episode. So I
Yes.
should have known that was coming.
It's all good.
DJ, do you want to go into your last scenario and we'll wrap this puppy up?
Absolutely. Okay, you ready for my last 2 truths and a lie, Mitch?
Let's do it.
All right. Mitchell Renz once had 2 girls pay him for a movie in the same day. Mitch Renz's head is stuck up Matthew Berry's asshole. Still can't find it, so I'm wondering where it is. Or I love tight ends.
Well, I did go to the movies and the girls paid for me, so that's true.
Let it sit. Hold on. Let us laugh.
I smoothed things over with Barry at the fantasy football convention. We had a really good conversation.
In bed.
And actually some people from ESPN have followed me on Twitter, and that could be a potential for me in the future, so that's exciting. And, I mean, I do like tight ends, so.
Well, I love tight ends.
It's DJ
That's
loving
the
tight ends,
obvious
though.
lie.
All right, I guess that's the lie. I don't know. Yep.
Yeah. If you listen to the podcast, you would know that I fucking hate tight ends.
I know, I don't listen.
Whatever.
But
you're
seriously,
wrong.
have you gotten your head out of Matthew's ass yet, or like? Is
So,
it,
like,
how does it smell in there?
I mean, it's not so
Are
bad.
you talking for him yet?
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad. Like,
It's like-
this is one thing that I'll say. You guys can, don't get me wrong. Barry blocked me. I get it. It's one
He
of those
blocked
things.
us.
Oh, I know. Well, you guys deserve it. I don't think I deserved it as much. So
I'll fucking.
you guys,
if you ever
you guys
unblock
are
me, I'll go
ruthless.
right back at him. I don't give a
I know you would. I
shit.
know.
Fuck that guy.
I will say though, when I first started doing fantasy football, and I mean this, and this is probably gonna come back to bite me. My first Twitter handle ever was Mitchell Renz or Mitchell Barry TMR because my
I was
name is
gonna fucking
the Mitchell Renz, right? So my friends in college used to call me Mitchell Barry because I was always like the kid who was obsessed with fantasy football, and Barry has done a lot for this industry, whether you hate him or not. But like he has done a lot for the industry, so I just wanted to talk to him about SEO a little bit, talk about like what we're doing here at Chat Sports, how we're crushing it, and good conversation. He gave me a follow back, so it's not so bad to have the number 1 guy in the industry to give me a follow
What
back.
you hear there
I
is
hate you.
Mitchell's
I hate you
voice
so much.
fading out slowly and slowly because his head's going farther up Barry's ass. He's
Farther up
he's
his
fading
ass.
away. I get that you.
Honestly, if I came to that and I saw him there, I would probably get kicked out of there to the NFFC.
Well, I'm trying to do fantasy football for a full-time job.
Yeah, we'll get.
so-
Yeah, and we'll be.
We'll hire you someday, Mitch.
Just
Don't
give
worry
me
about
yeah,
it.
we'll hire you. When we're gonna be bad boys. People are gonna like us for the fact that we're not giving in to pussies like Matthew Berry. That's no problem.
All right, let me try to even this out a little bit here because I
fuck that
understand
theory.
I understand trying to play nice, share the field with everybody, kiss and make up. I get that, like be friendly to one of the best in the game. Because
Where's
what's
the
it
butt? mean
mean to have an enemy? It's not going to do you any good. I get that.
Unless it's the counselor,
But-
then I'm all about it.
But you just got to feel a little bit bad because of all the people that had your back. And we were like, everyone went to bat for you. We're like, screw Matt Barry. We're all about Mitchell Renz. We had a segment through about the first 8 weeks of the season that just hated
know.
on Matt Barry because we
God,
supported you
shit
so
on him, too.
much through the situation. And then the next thing on Twitter, there was like 14 straight posts where you and Matt Barry, there was like a picture of you guys hugging. There was one where you guys like tagged each other
Courtesy
where
of Matt
you guys
Barry.
both liked it and there was
Hugging.
hearts around like your heads and stuff.
Your
So,
boner was sticking
so
out.
like that's where like I'm like, oh, this guy right here, like he's selling out to the people that had his back. But we can forget. This is just like
Hey.
how you forgave Matt Barry. We can forgive you as well. Just say you're sorry.
To you guys?
yes.
All right, I'm sorry, guys, but sorry. Like,
No,
No,
I'm-
but-
no butts.
Just end it there.
I'm sorry, guys. Fuck off.
You can say but after we stop recording.
That's fine.
I do have to say now, you have now been demoted to my number 2 favorite guest. Elliot Chris has now been promoted to number 1. So, you know what? That's what happens when you start licking Matthew Berry's balls.
That's all right. If I had a Fab Five, you wouldn't be in it. So it's
Well,
all good.
Oh,
You just made the biggest mistake of your life.
shots fired.
Move on, Ben.
All right. So thank you very much for listening. As always, tweet any questions you'd like answered on the podcast. We're at Loaded Box. Mitchell, thank you once again for coming on. Make sure you guys are following his work. He's over at Chat Sports. You can follow him at Mitchell Renz 365. Make sure you check out our website for the latest blogs, fantasy rankings, podcast. We're at loadedboxpodcast.com. Make sure you throw in the word podcast, otherwise you're going to be in for one hell of a treat. Outside of that, our next episode, we are going to return right on back to doing some of our positional rankings. We're going to kick off the position of running back, so make sure you check those out. Mitchell, once again, thanks for joining us. And DJ and Mitchell, why don't you do the old combined fadeaway?
Bye.
Bye.